business was struggling. We had, as I said, 35K a month was revenue, but profit was 8%. And so that was a tough business.
So what's been the hardest part of the journey?
Emotional regulation. Run this business with my partner. Happiness is the present moment minus your expectations. So because I'm trying to get her to fit my mold, I'm unhappy and uncomfortable with this situation. And she was doing the same thing. So until we learned that we are two different people and we can actually learn from each other, that was the biggest thing.
One of the main reasons that people actually get an upper limit problem is the people around them tell you that it's bad to be successful. What's one tip that you could give someone that started out in e-commerce to get to, let's say, $50,000 in sales for the year?
Planning, setting a goal, and then reverse engineering, and also dropping your ego. The reason I feel most people don't get terribly far in their life because they don't have a deeper rooted purpose. It's all well and good to tell someone to optimize their conversion rate, but unless you tell them what the actual constraint of their conversion rate might be, they're going to get nowhere with it. So for example, we doubled our sign-up rate overnight by doing it. My name is Ben, I'm from Brisbane, and we sell collagen mouth tape. Our brand is Blanc. We are a premium women's wellness brand. My partner Bianca was into wellness. She loved all the benefits of mouth taping, like deeper sleep, sculpted jawline, better skin. But every time she'd go to bed, she'd put her skincare on like right before she'd fall asleep. All the oils, moisturizers, everything like that. Put her mouth tape on, then wake up in the morning and just peel all of it off. Her lips were really irritated and dry. So then she comes to me, she's like, Ben, we can make this better. And I was like, 100% we can. So we got the collagen and hyaluronic acid, vitamin E from a lip mask and slapped it together with a mouth tape. And then we created Blanc Hydrate.
That's awesome. So why does someone want to use a collagen mouth tape over just a regular mouth tape?
First and foremost, there's a lot of mouth tape out there and it's really like targeted towards men. Men are like into the darker colors, the brutal, like hostage.
The homosy types.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so it's a really masculine field. And so girls see their boyfriends wearing mouth tape and they're like, well, I want to get better sleep too. But they also care about their lips and their skin health and things like that. So it gives you all the benefits of normal mouth tape, but you get the hydrated lips on the other side of it as well.
So how did you get your first product? So you had the concept. How did you get that actually on your website and even get your first sale?
So we did a bunch of testing. We went back and forth with suppliers for probably close to 6 months. We did some home botch job in the kitchen. We got one of those collagen sheet masks and just cut it up and stuck it to some mouth tape as like one of the very first prototypes. And then we were like, this actually works. So then we went on Alibaba and a whole bunch of other websites and found some suppliers. We went through, I'd say it was about 30 to 50 suppliers a day for 2 weeks straight. I was messaging to try and find anyone that could do it. Pimple patch companies, mouth tape companies, under eye patch companies, anyone. We were like, can you do this and smack it together with this? They said no. But eventually we found one woman who said, yep, I can do that. And so we just went full steam ahead with her, did about 2 or 3 rounds of samples as well to get the color, the shape, things like that all corrected. For about 6 months.
How much did that cost you to get it onto the website?
Probably a good 10 to 15 grand.
So you invested a fair bit, but I'm sure it felt like a fair bit back then.
Yeah. Well, it was hilarious because about 2 months prior to starting the business, we bought an investment property.
Wow.
And so we just had no cash, but God bless, we made it work somehow.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
And how did it go when you launched it? How did you launch it?
We spent a decent bit of time prepping, making sure we had enough content to make sure that we could have some ads. Because I had a bit of previous experience in drop shipping. I actually watched a bunch of your videos to get into drop shipping, which is hilarious. Now we're here having this conversation. And so I did a drop shipping store. Margins were hard, but I understood that content was the big thing, the big needle mover. And so before we launched, we had this bank of content. We reached out to a content agency. They got a bunch of lifestyle content for us, things like that. So we launched with a bunch of UGC, a bunch of free gifted stuff. And it took about a week for just one ad to make one sale, which I said to Bianca at the time, I was like, this can work. It's just a matter of when, not if. Like we can make one sale. And if we can make one sale, we can then improve and improve and improve and make 10 and 20 and then one in our sleep and 100 a week, for example. And so we launched with a bunch of UGC, small budgets, like $30 to $50 a day. Like we were both working full time. So it's like, we've already spent all this money to start the business. And then we're like, now we've got to outlay it on the chance that, we make one sale. We made that first sale. It was crazy. I remember texting Bianca, we were like, we made it,
So UGC sounds like it was that big pivotal part. Content is such a content is like 95% of media buying now, I would say. So what are your strategies around that? How have they evolved from when you first started to now?
We prioritize about 70% of our content as previous, like iterations of previous winners. So for example, one angle might be the hook is a girl peeling off her mouth tape saying, how am I 30 and just finding out about this? And so we'll do multiple iterations of a dark haired girl, a light haired girl, a light skinned girl, dark skinned girl, all saying pretty much the same thing because that concept works. It just needs different sort of avatars to target. And then from there, we'll do about 20% of sort of experimental stuff and 10% of absolutely random stuff that just may hit, might not. For example, some of the organic stuff that our social content agency has done, we've just run it all as ads, and the odd one here and there has been able to push a decent amount of sales, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome. And tell us how the business, started. Was it a rapid growth, and where is it now?
So we launched in July of 2025, like 22nd of July.
So less than a year old.
Yeah, it's 7-8 months. That's maybe. Awesome. And so we did about $8,500 in our first month, and then scaled up to about 15 to 20. And then through November, we did about 35, which was actually really tough. We didn't have the cash or the stock to be staying afloat in Black Friday because everything was 10 times more expensive, but we somehow made it through. And then we joined Daily Mentor in December. So our business was struggling. We had, as I said, $35K a month was revenue, but profit was 8%. And so that was a tough business. And we didn't have the ability to use our cash or really be able to project what cash we would have to then be able to grow anything. It was more survival. So we joined you guys at 35K, and now we're sitting in pretty much about 55K a month.
Awesome.
But the big difference is that our net profit has gone from 8 to 30.
Oh, wow.
So completely different business. And you can just breathe, right?
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. So you could even be at $1 million bucks revenue at a slightly lower net profit if you wanted to as well. That's an awesome result.
We're really excited to build like a brand world because I feel like that's one thing that's necessarily lacking from the health and wellness space, especially with women. We understand that women buy really based off emotion and they want to be really connected to something. There's a big sense of community. You look at some of the biggest activewear brands like CSB, Kiva, Keep That Pump. They're very community focused. And so people feel included and they want to buy more so that they can be more involved. And so we're really focused on, at the moment, creating a better brand, which is advice you gave us as well. Is like brand is the only thing that's actually going to separate us. It's our moat in a sense. So we're really looking forward to making the product better in as many small little tweaks and refinements as we can. We're getting constant feedback from customers about that, what they love, what they hate, which is, sometimes some days harder than others getting that feedback. You're like, oh, really? Right now? You're going to tell me that? Okay, cool. But creating a brand world and creating, different colorways that then have their own story and marketing around them. And it's a piece of mouth tape that you wear every night. Like it's nothing crazy, but if we can create an emotion and a sense of connection to it, say for example, a pink one gets worn on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because it's like you want to feel fresh and light for the start of the week. Whereas, a deeper color might be a weekend because you want to feel sexier, going out with your friends, things like that. It can connect a lot better with people as they progress throughout their week as well. So I think that'd be the main thing is creating that brand story.
I miss where you are right now. It was such an exciting thing having a winning product, that first Shopify ching, and then it just slowly, not in your case, it's rapidly growing. It's super exciting. What does your day look like, and how do you make sure that aligns with you growing the business as an early stage e-com brand?
So I'm actually really wired on this topic. I track every 15-minute interval of my day and have done for like a year because it's based off the premise that you can't optimize what you haven't already maximized. So like if you don't know what you're doing, you can't then do more better stuff in a sense. So I started tracking my calendar in a ELD framework, which was exponential, linear, and distraction, meaning E, anything that gets me closer to my goals, that was green. Linear was stuff I had to do, like showering, for example. But then distractions were anything red, like making my own food. That could have been meal service delivered to my door. I didn't have to do that. But then I sort of outgrew that because I was like, gym and business and reading, it's all green activities. So then I went down the route of adding high, medium, and low leverage activities. Low leverage is things that I could outsource, like packing orders, for example. Whereas high leverage stuff is $1,000 an hour work, strategy with the ad account, where are we seeing movements, what creatives should we plan next? And so tracking my week in that color-coded system of 6 steps, with personal life having the ELD side and then business side having the HML, has really helped me see where my time is going to then be able to time block better and more effectively.
What's the main thing that you've learned from that? Like, because I know there's so many early stage e-com founders are just so distracted. Yeah. Like, ooh, shiny object, ooh, this. What's the main thing that you've learned that they should implement? Focus
comes from less, not more.
Yeah.
Like, if you're sitting at your desk and you're trying to figure out which of the 12 things to do on your to-do list that you actually need to move the needle on today, you're just going to try and do all of them. Whereas if you just clear the list, start with the one that is the biggest indicator and focus on getting that done, then everything else can come second. And time blocking that. Like I really enjoy sitting alone for 4 hours, getting one task done, uninterrupted, sole focus. And then after I've done that, I can do all the other comms and things like that.
That's great. What's your experience been with agencies, running Facebook ads, that kind of stuff?
We have a content agency that does our social media. So they're really good. They give us heaps of raw content that we can then mix and match. As for Facebook ads side of things, it's definitely looking like a lot more of the organic style content can be turned into paid ads because it looks native to the platform in the first place. Some of the simplest ads we've run have been from organic content, but they've also been some of the highest performers. And meta ads in itself is like the craziest beast. I love like getting in there every day and seeing the data. As I said, I'm like...
So you're running it all yourself?
All ourselves, yeah. So it's all pretty much me. Like my partner Bianca helps with packing orders and things like that. But as for the actual like running of the business, it's me, an agency, and a couple contractors for like video editors.
Did you find it hard to learn Facebook yourself?
It's a bit of a steep learning curve to begin with, but then once you understand how to set up audience segments and like what you're actually looking for, I found it's a breeze. You just, I don't know, reverse engineer. ROAS, that's up. Sweet. Let's optimize for that. Yeah.
More creative, done.
Yeah, do more of that.
Pretty much it. Well, that's great. That's great. Is there any questions you have for me?
Yeah, what would you say is one of the biggest bottlenecks at this stage of my business? Or if you were to be in my situation where 50K a month, small team, no one really like actually fully employed, but to get to that 1 million, 1.5 million within a year, where do you see some of the biggest bottlenecks versus growth indicators?
I see it's different for every single business. So some people, their product itself is the bottleneck. Like let's say drop shippers, to go from 600K a year to $10 million, it's going to be that they're selling a saturated product that's already on AliExpress and also already on Amazon for half the price. That's not you guys. You guys are really good at that. The second bottleneck that I see people run into is cash flow. Running into cash flow issues, struggling with that. To solve that, we can talk to our banking providers, try to get a facility. We can use revenue-based financing, but we need to be very careful about the annual coupon rate. Then we can go to friends and family, ask them for loans or money, or we can just be patient. If we have the right product, cash flow doesn't actually matter because we are going to build a brand, we're going to preserve the experience, and we can just do it slowly, right? We can be patient. The other main issue, which I think that is not an issue for you because you're so dialed in about it, is the ability to delegate low leverage tasks. So typically a founder has a very particular archetype. They might be the creator, they might be the product person, they might be more operational, finance. It's interesting that you're a finance background because you seem actually like you're a little bit more on the creative side to an extent. There's hiring for the low leverage task and then they're starting to hire for high leverage tasks and deciding when to complement your archetype and stuffing up that timing. That holds people back. Because if I hired a really good operational mind to balance my marketing mind in the early stages of Udi, it would have hit 400 million. Like I'm certain of it. Like we had no stock in peak COVID for like 6 months. It was 6 months pre-sale. We lost so much. We lost $20 million in November alone because we had a bad 3PL. Mm-hmm. So finding those really good low leverage tasks like delegating customer service, that kind of stuff in the early stage, and then deciding when to hire that heavy hitter to complement because you can't do it all. Mm-hmm. And typically it works really well if it is operations and finance because they're much more traditional forms of business and there's so much great talent out there for that as well. So they're the three things. What would you say that the main thing that you have changed to get to that higher net profit amount and increase your revenue as well?
Better systems, but also being taught tactics, not concepts. What I mean by that is it's all well and good to tell someone to optimize their conversion rate, but unless you tell them what the actual constraint of their conversion rate might be, they're going to get nowhere with it. So for example, a lot of the emails we've had a lot of success with by way of changing our wording from just a 10% discount to now a mystery offer. We doubled our sign-up rate overnight by doing that. And those small little optimizations then flow onto bigger net profit changes.
That's a great practical tip. Do you have a particular mentor that you've worked with that you've really enjoyed, and what kind of lessons have they taught you?
Rebecca Blair.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
She's awesome.
She's our growth mentor. There was a lot of good information about email flows, and because I'm someone that likes to understand why. Don't just tell me something and then expect me to go with it. If you have no reasoning to back it up, then I'm not going to follow your instruction because it feels like you don't know what you're talking about. But then when I opened, for example, some of the email flow modules, some abandoned carts, for example, there was data to back up every decision, and it was split tests and showing you each example. So for example, one of them was if you send a follow-up email within the first hour, you got 4 times the open rate of the first 4 hours. And so then the decision is clear. You go with 1 hour over 4 hours. So a lot of that helps to back up the reasoning behind why you're doing what you're doing and why this structure and template works. And also, once you send that follow-up email, here's the exact structure of what's broken down and where you need to say what within the email. Like you should have your call to action up here. You should have this kind of wording down here. Give some guarantees down the bottom, payment processes, things like that. So it's really easy to just like plug and play. For example, overnight we plug and played the mystery discount versus the 10% and we doubled our rate. So
that's great.
Then there's only more to come from that as the downstream flows.
It's funny, learning the why, even let's say 1 hour needs to become 15 minutes or 1 hour goes back to being 4 hours for the optimal email send time. By learning the why, we're like, is similar to an LLM, we're training the model to see patterns and understand those things and apply those patterns into completely different areas. And I think that, that's definitely something, it can be quite overwhelming going into school where we host all of our content because there's so much. Like it's just a ridiculous amount of content. And that's not, some people would say that that's not good. Like we need to be more structured about what we deliver to people, but it's so multifaceted. Like you're trying to learn all of these whys, just get them in there, especially in the early stages where you are, and then it will just apply to everything. The learnings that you have for Facebook will apply to Google. The learnings that you have for operations will apply to finance. I think that's why we're so big on the why. Yeah.
And also having one dedicated account manager that holds all the context of your business and then can put you in touch with the right people, the right module, so they understand what you're doing rather than, for example, hopping on a call with some coach you've never met and then having to explain your whole business and then your 15 minutes is up before you've even got the answer.
Yeah.
As a broad example, but for example, having Rebecca have all the context of our business, knowing exactly where we're going, what we want to do, then she can be like, oh, well, you're going to need to talk to this guy at this time. So you're going to want to book in a call right now because he's busy for 3 weeks. So then by the time you're going to need him, he'll be booked out. And yeah, being able to like work backwards as that, like, here's the goal, here's the plan. Rebecca holds all the context. She can put us in touch with the right people in the right modules. And then we can, come prepared to the meetings rather than spending half the time talking about nothing. But she's just taught me that like, it's okay to want more for yourself in this life.
Yeah.
she's very cool. She's got a lot of things going on in her own life.
Yeah,
but
she's very, very accomplished. We're lucky to have her.
yeah, she's awesome. But just like being young and wanting to be successful, I feel like there's a big stigma around trying to be a tall poppy. And I felt a lot of my life, I've had this desire to be more, to do more, but then everyone around me has sort of frowned upon that. And so then I've held myself back. And then now being in my mid to late 20s, I'm able to make my own decisions, right? And so there's a lot of freedom in that, being able to be the person that you feel is called upon your heart.
Yeah, that's really, really, really interesting. There's a theory called the upper limit problem, which is it's around the beliefs, the environment that we were grown up with or are in our subconscious that force us to self-sabotage when we hit a certain limit.
Yep.
And this is where you see like time and time again, you know, these celebrities going back to drugs and all of this kind of stuff, they self-sabotage themselves. And it's interesting, like just because you said, you know, people around you, you know, have maybe pushed that upper limit or said that it's one of the main reasons that people actually get an upper limit problem is the people around them tell you that it's bad to be successful.
Yeah.
And then as soon as things start happening, you know, you might, imposter syndrome is extremely correlated with it because it's like, or just constant negative self-talk. The people that we surround ourselves with, the ones that give us permission to shine brightly. You know what I mean? And I think that that's great that she's helped you with that. Yeah.
I also view our brains as sort of like a large language model where every input that you have is going to affect the output. And so if all you're ever feeding it is this same, like, stay at the same level, you know, don't strive too hard, that's weird, that's cringe, don't try that, you're only ever going to get that in your life as well. It's that classic of the 5 people closest to you in your reference group are going to have the biggest impact on your life. And yeah, I just view it as like large language models.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. What's one tip that you could give someone that's maybe just getting started out in e-commerce to get to, let's say, $50,000 in sales for the year?
Planning is going to be a big thing because if you don't know what you're working towards, you don't know what you're doing every day. And so I think having a 10-year goal is great, but you get lost in the sort of fun, vague idea of, you know, I want to make 100 million. And so it's like, okay, great, but what's your vehicle? How are you going to get there? And so 10 years versus 90 days, if you have something that gets you directionally correct as sort of your big compass needle, but then your 90-day sprints are what's going to actually move the needle and get you that next step closer. So planning, setting a goal, and then reverse engineering. So if it's, I want to make 50K in sales, it's like, well, what price do I need to sell a product at and how many customers is that? And then what do I need to spend on my advertising? How many ad creatives is that going to be? I need to test. And so just working it backwards and reverse engineering that goal to then become an actionable plan, I think is the first step. And also dropping your ego, because that was a big thing for me, and I'm still learning that. And taking accountability, ego and accountability are the 2 things that I found held me back the most. Because, for example, I have a background in finance, and so I came into this and I was like, I don't need to do a report card. Like I know my numbers, right? I had no idea how bad our marketing efficiency actually was, and so dropping the ego, taking accountability for the things that you do is going to just explode your growth overnight. Because the moment I started doing that, it just like freed up so much of the constraint within our business.
You seem like you're learning at an extremely accelerated rate, like compared to a lot of the people that, you know, kind of credit to them. If it's a lifestyle business, this is how you should do it, but they plod along and they're just like, yeah, I want to learn a small little bit here, a small little bit here. Seems like you're going at it quite intensely.
Yeah.
How do you approach learning? And how have you self-taught yourself to this point?
Sort of pride myself every day on, if you're not learning, you're not living. Very basic concept. But the reason I feel most people don't get terribly far in their life because they don't have a deeper rooted purpose. And for me, that's God. God puts callings on my heart, whatever it may be. And so I try and listen to him as best as possible.
Have you played around with the AI modules yet?
Not yet, but I am excited to.
Yeah, let me know when you do, because I think you'll love them. Yeah,
because I saw you put something out about making an AI CFO.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'd love to.
Yeah, so
into that.
I just couldn't sleep. It was AI, the core code had just been released, and I was getting it was getting up at like 2:30. Like I was sleeping for like 5 hours.
Where do you see AI in general moving? Because I feel like a lot of people are just going to get a China bonded warehouse with a content agency and offshore media buyers and video editors, and then they can laptop lifestyle anywhere. Where do you see the direction of AI fitting into that?
There's a concept in finance and investing called edge. And edge is all about like what can you see that others can't see or can do that others can't do. And that's where over an extended period of time of actions, you'll have an outsized return. Edge will not go away. Edge will be the pivotal thing around whether someone wins with AI or doesn't. Jenny's bakery like down the street that's selling the exact same pies as anyone else, give her an AI tool, and if she doesn't commit to learning it and commit to becoming a marketing badass, she's not going to benefit that like proportionally from AI compared to someone that's like a young kid who's just obsessed with understanding how LLMs work and is just absolutely smashing it, and then decides to launch a bakery. They're going to still win. So I think it's like, that's the concept that you need to know, that if you don't adapt it and create edge within the tools, they can be using the same tools as you, but you need to find that edge within them. And I think that's key, because even if let's say it's drop shipping, the edge might not be, can you launch, can you actually launch this product without touching it and creating AI creatives? It's, can you launch 10,000 of them in a week? That's now edge, because it's through volume. But then there might be other like certain elements of that. So I think that's where it's going, and that's just why you need to learn it now. Like you need to learn.
It reminds me very much of the concept of the plateau of latent potential, where it's sort of this flat line with then a hockey stick growth at the end, where all of the learning you're doing in the very beginning might not see the results right now, but then there's going to be a moment where it just switches and everything is going to explode. And I see that with learning the skill of AI. It's like it might not directly impact you right now, but learning the skill is not going to do you any harm. But then eventually you'll find a point where you can like integrate it into everything that you're doing, and it's just hockey stick growth. So
yeah, I've been thinking about that concept around latent potential, but also around the 10,000 hour rule. I think the 10,000 hour rule is wrong, simply because you should be looking at how many hours it takes for something to become enjoyable. Because once it becomes enjoyable, it's easy to do 1,000,000 hours. Like
just a down.
so it's like swimming, for example. I'm training for a triathlon at the moment. My legs just kept sinking, and I was like, this sucks. Like this is so hard. You start going fast enough and get it streamlined enough, then your legs don't sink, and now it's fun. It's like Facebook ads, uploading, figuring out your business manager, AI tools, like trying to figure out how that all interacts together. And then you're getting bugs. That's not fun. Posting your first good video and getting that Shopify ka-ching, very fun. And then you'll just get the 10,000 hours naturally after that.
Yeah, you gotta move from that like pain to pleasure. Exactly. There's gonna be some crossover at some point.
Yeah. So what's been the hardest part of the journey?
Emotional regulation. I run this business with my partner. We liken our work style very differently. Like I'm trained on train tracks. I've got one focus. That's what I'm doing. I'm not derailing from it. She's very much a pinball machine with all the ideas, loves to jump between tasks, loves to plan, doesn't like to do. I love to do, don't really like to plan. So for a while there, the puzzle pieces just were not fitting, and we were just getting on each other's nerves with the direction we wanted to take things. I was focused on what we needed to do today. She was looking at 5-year goals. And I'm like, this is irrelevant when we don't even know if we've got cash to pay for next month's stock. And so for a while there, it was like a square block trying to go in a circle hole. It just wasn't working until I understood that happiness is the present moment minus your expectations. So because I'm trying to get her to fit my mold, I'm unhappy and uncomfortable with this situation. And she was doing the same thing. So until we learned that we are two different people and we can actually learn from each other, that was the biggest thing. And again, dropping my ego, taking accountability. I don't need to put as much emotion into things. And that will also clear up my mind to be able to make better decisions faster. That emotional regulation is really it was for a long time the constraint of our business that sort of held us back, making emotionally charged decisions, looking back, regretting it, but also trying to then learn from it to make better decisions without emotion going forward.
That's great. Well, look, thank you so much for joining. I'm super excited about your brand. You're just so early, but that you can feel that there's something there, right?
I'm excited, man.
It's just so exciting. So I appreciate you being part of Daily Mentor, and I'll be here to keep supporting your growth.
Appreciate that.
If you liked today's episode, make sure you go click the link below and check out Daily Mentor.